Ayo, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy Alvin Mike, and welcome back to my channel. Well, technically, welcome to my channel. For a lot of you, this is probably the first time seeing my page. So, hey, welcome. If you enjoyed today's video and enjoying more content like this, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, which you most likely are, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn post notifications on. We are trying to get to at least 20 subs. But anyway, let's get straight into today's video, which happens to be dropping some prop bets for tonight's early NBA games in what I believe to be some successful props. So, let's get into it. Now, the first game that we'll be looking at in the early tip-offs happens to be the Denver Nuggets versus the Dallas Mavericks. This happens to be a key matchup as it is the 4th versus the 5th seed out west. Denver being one game ahead of Dallas. This is a big situation for them in which Dallas would most likely like to win this game to just push themselves ahead. Whereas for Denver, a win here secures them a little bit closer to the 3rd seed Memphis Grizzlies. Now, the reason this is a marquee matchup again is also because of the fact that the Dallas Mavericks will be missing both Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic for the entirety of this game. And looking at the matchups based off their last few game plans, I believe the best prop, or at least the initial prop I say to take on this game, happens to be the Denver Nuggets to cover the -6 spread, mainly because with both Kyrie and Luka missing, there's going to be a lot of issues on the offensive side of things in regards of getting it going as much as they'd like to. And looking on the opposite side of the ball, we see that the Denver Nuggets come into this game having won 3 out of their last 5, with their only 2 losses having come against the Spurs by 3 and the Boston Celtics by 12. And the last key point is Nikola Jokic is performing at an MVP caliber, which is why we should expect that they will beat this team. Now, the only other matchup they have had this year was obviously in the NBA Cup, where we did see the Mavericks beat the Nuggets, but that shouldn't be the situation this go around. Now, the next prop to place within this game would happen to be Nikola Jokic's points, assists, and rebounds. He should cover this at 52.5, mainly because he has managed to cover it in his last 7 games. And the last time he matched against this Mavericks roster, he managed to tally up 33 points, 17 rebounds, and 10 assists, which covered that by totaling up to 60 points, assists, and rebounds combined, which is why, again, the 2 props to cover in this game would happen to be the Denver Nuggets spread and Nikola Jokic's points, assists, and rebounds, both as they should come through. The next game we will be looking at happens to be the New York Knicks versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, in this matchup, we're going to see both teams come in at full tilt because the Milwaukee Bucks coming in with their full roster, whereas for the New York Knicks, the only key missing entity happens to be Mitchell Robinson, but he's been missing for majority of the season, which is why it shouldn't really have an effect. Now, the last time we saw these two teams match up was on the 9th of November, where the Knicks managed to leave with a 22-point victory over the Milwaukee Bucks within MSG, which is why for the sake of this game, the spread's currently set at about 4.5, but I will not be choosing the spread or the over or under on points, mainly due to the fact that the Bucks are coming in having won their last 3 games, whereas for the Knicks, they've won 1 out of the last 5. So it's really hard to choose a winner. However, I insist that the 2 props to go with, first one being Giannis Antetokounmpo to score at least 25 plus points. The reason I insist on this is Giannis will be matching up against OG Anunoby, who is known as a good defender. However, he will have a hard time matching up against Giannis, as Giannis will most likely be playing around the rim. And with Brook Lopez being on the floor, it ensures that Karl Anthony Towns should be further away from the rim, allowing Giannis a lot of one-on-one situations, which we all know he excels at, unless matched up against really solid defenders who nearly match him in size, which is no one. Now, the next solid bet to go with would happen to be to take Giannis to grab 10 plus rebounds. Key reason for this is the New York Knicks are currently ranked 12th in second chance points, meaning they have a lot of offensive rebounding capability, which is why we should see Giannis helping a lot on the defensive glass just to ensure there's limited second chance points for the Knicks, which allows the Bucks a lot more opportunity to win this game. And as we know, Brook Lopez is not known as a great rebounder anymore, which is why I insist grabbing Giannis for 10 plus rebounds is a key prop to take within this matchup of the New York Knicks versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, the last game we will be discussing happens to be the last of the triple header of the early games, and this happens to be the Sacramento Kings versus the Chicago Bulls. Now, this is a bit of a harder one to pick just because on the Kings side, they're currently the 9th seed, barely ahead of the Golden State Warriors and the Phoenix Suns, who are looking on the outside looking in of the play-in picture. Hence why a win for them is necessary, as one loss basically sets them up in a situation where the Suns might be able to surpass them into the 9th or 10th seed. Whereas for the Bulls, they're currently holding on to the 10th seed with 3 victories clear of the Philadelphia 76ers. Hence, winning is something they still want, but again, a loss won't as badly affect them as it will with the Kings. Now, the Bulls have won 3 out of their last 5, whereas with the Kings, they are currently riding what looks to be a 6-game winning streak, which makes them the favorites in regards to this matchup. However, again, it's down to personal preference how you want to go about it. I would personally avoid the situation of selecting a winner. If anything, the thing I'd focus on here is player props. And unfortunately for this game, I only have one prop, which happens to be Zach LaVine's points. The reason I say to take Zach LaVine at over 28 just happens to be because coming into this matchup, Zach LaVine has dropped 30-plus points in every single game in the month of January, and that happens to be 5 games so far, with those being against the Washington Wizards, the New York Knicks, San Antonio Spurs, Indiana Pacers, and against the Wizards again. Now, the key thing to point out here is the solid defensive sides he did face here were the Spurs and the Knicks when it comes to guard position. Spurs not being as great, but with the Knicks having to face Mikal Bridges makes a lot of sense. So I would take him at over 28 just because going up against the Sacramento Kings, I'm not expecting them to do that well defensively against them, as having Malik Monk and DeMar DeRozan have to match up against Zach LaVine. He has a quick step over DeMar, whilst at the same time, if he gets a switch onto Malik Monk, he does have the size to be able to score over him. And as we know, he is the first option within this team, making it most likely that he will be the primal attacking point for their offense. So again, I would select over 28 points for Zach LaVine. If you want a secondary prop to go for, I would most likely do the over 237 points, mainly because these are both offensive teams that seem to give up a lot of points on the defensive side of things, and in their last few games have had situations where games have gone up to dang near 240. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, which if you did, don't forget to do me a favor and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel and you ain't done so yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn post notifications on. If you guys do enjoy this form of content, we will be uploading a little bit more of it. But yeah, I'll catch you in a bit. Remember, gamble responsibly, because at the end of the day, the house always wins. Deuces.